Today is Monday, August the 16th, and it is only significant because the market started off very badly and then went positive. I think that Biden's speech was well accepted. We'll take a look and see after he started talking. It was actually 3:45, so the market was almost closed. But the whole Afghanistan thing just seemed to not be of concern to the market, nor was COVID. But the McClellan oscillator finished below zero. The FinViz balance was mostly declining over advancing. So we have that to worry about. The Dow Jones, new record. The NASDAQ finished a little bit higher than Friday. The SPX, new record high, and not just by a little bit either. The volatility index stopped right here at the cloud and then pulled down. So it's really continuing this downward motion that we had seen earlier after breaking this upward trend. Look where the Chiku span ended. Today, well below the 50 and the bottom of this candle, but right at the bottom of tomorrow's candle. I'm not saying that that's important because tomorrow is tomorrow. It's not today. Just saying that it's a coincidence. Apple, I bought more long calls and short calls. Long the October 150, short the 160. After on July 28th, having bought the 145, 155 spread. Caterpillar, I got out of today after rolling my calls into next week, into this week, the 120 calls for $2.09. I just said the heck with it. But look at this, the Chiku span got support on this candle, so we could see a bounce. We also got support on the 50, but that's okay. There's a long road for Caterpillar to go to break through all this resistance. There's going to be time for me to get back into Caterpillar again. I just had, what I call a substantial profit, a reasonable profit on the 500 shares that I had. I bought them at 208 roughly, sold them at 217, collected some money on short calls in between. So I wanted to keep that profit. I will look to get back into Caterpillar again, that's for sure. IBM stopped right at the bottom of the cloud. NEO, pretty disappointing, but look where it finished. Support for the Chiku span on the 200. That means that tomorrow we should be able to see a little bit. Oops, I guess we can't. We should. I want to draw an arrow there, but I can't. We should be able to see a little bit of a bounce there tomorrow. A big loser was Square, but still insignificant volume. Reminder that on Friday I got out of the stock that I had because my calls would have been taking my stock away. But I bought the long stock at 121, short the 125 calls at 660. If the stock ends up below 121 today, I'm happy. That lowers my cost down to 114. If it ends at 114, I'm happy. I might even buy more. But I will then sell next week's 120 calls. But I'll make that decision later on. But the pullback is good. I remember I lost the difference between 114, which was my net take on the stock having been taken away from me with the short 110 calls. My net was about 114, and I bought back in at 121. So I'd like the stock to get back to my net cost of 114, and it would do that by staying below 125 this week. Where are we now? That was Square we talked about right there. AT&T, just saying that's channeling nicely. Still think it's a great dividend stock for at least another couple of quarters. And that's all for today. Where are we going? Certainly there is bullishness in the air. Even after today's initial bad news, we ended up doing quite well. Look at the day on a 5-minute basis. After the sellers came in the first 15 minutes, remember I don't trade in the first 15 minutes right in here, and it was actually the first half hour, the stock dropped down to 10 o'clock and then started to move up. Came down and hit this pivot point, moved up to rest on this pivot point, rested on this pivot point, and then broke through and ended up, these are not, yes, this is a support, and stopped at resistance 1, and then Biden gave his speech, and it pulled up above the R1. So Afghanistan's not such a bad thing after all for the market. And if you noticed, Biden poured, I think, 10% more money into the food stamp plan because he's just saved himself tens of millions of dollars a day by not deploying troops and arms and weapons and advisors and everything else to Afghanistan. Frankly, as he said, a country that didn't seem interested in supporting itself.